Hello and welcome to this episode of the No Gimmicks Just Sweat podcast. First, thank you for listening, and if you enjoyed this episode, please remember to take a moment to subscribe, rate, and review us wherever you're listening. Also, make sure you follow us on Instagram at No Gimmicks Just Sweat. No Gimmicks Just Sweat was started to showcase people from all walks of life sharing their particular fitness journeys. Everyone has a different story, and everyone has a different reason behind their journey. Hopefully these stories will not only inspire you, but also help you aspire to heights you've never thought possible. Again, thank you for listening, and now, let's get it started. Hello, and welcome to No Gimmicks Just Sweat. I'm your host, Eric, and today we have Soj Jibowu. He is the owner of Varlo apparel. How are you doing today, Soj?
Doing really well, Eric. Thanks for having me, man. Appreciate it. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, thank you for coming on the show.
Absolutely.
And before we get started, I kind of want to break the ice a little bit with you and just kind of throw out some rapid fire questions to kind of go from there. Just kind of break the ice, get started, and, let the people get to know you a little bit better, okay?
Absolutely.
All right. So, do you like to train in the morning or in the evening?
Early morning.
Early morning. How early in the morning?
5 a.m. early.
Oh, see, you're like me, early morning. All right, cardio training or strength training?
Cardio.
Cardio. What type of cardio?
Rowing or biking.
Okay, see, I'm already like you better. You're rowing.
Low impact.
Yes. Okay, run on the treadmill or run outside?
Outside.
Ride inside on Zwift or ride outside?
Outside all day long.
All right. See, I told you I'm liking you. Favorite segment in triathlon, swim, bike, or run?
Ooh, I would say swim.
Really? Okay.
I'd say swim. I've learned to love it.
Okay. All right. If you can go on a bike ride, a run, or train with a celebrity, dead or alive, who would it be?
Ooh, man, I would probably say Michael Johnson.
Okay.
Yeah. I would probably say Michael Johnson.
And last one, dream location to either go for a run or a bike ride.
Oh, man. Dream location would be, I would probably say Switzerland.
Oh, okay. For a run or a ride?
Probably both. Probably both. But I mean, I would probably say ride. Say ride.
Okay. All right. So before we really kind of talk about Varlo and what it is and what you're bringing to the table, let's find out what your story is. And when I say what your story is, everybody has a path that they travel to get to where they are now. So let the people know, more about you.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's funny. I was just talking to my brother earlier over lunch today about just growing up and our background and stuff. So this is all kind of fresh on top of mine. So I was born in Lagos State, Nigeria. And I think probably everyone knows where Nigeria is, but Lagos once upon a time used to be the capital prior to Abuja. It's in West Africa, and moved to the States early age of 5, and just always was in sports and staying active as a kid. I ended up going to college at Central Michigan University, running track and field there. I was a 400-meter guy and studied biomedical science and chemistry. And that doesn't mean that I'm some crazy brainiac science guy. It just means that I was curious enough to pursue it. It just means I was curious. I was just like, oh man, this is cool. I want to know more.
Right.
And so I figured that that's what I would study. And post college, I think a lot of my growing up had to do with what happened afterwards, and even the college part. Growing up, my parents are just, they're amazing people, just very hardworking people. But coming to the States is immigrants and even myself, I grew up watching my parents like just struggle, like working 3 jobs each, restaurant jobs, the whole thing. For the longest time, I thought that like when you would hear about people having uniforms for work, like I would be like, oh yeah, like my mom's uniform is maroon, blue, and gold, which was like the color for like the Taco Bell uniforms back in like the early 90s. And I actually even remember thinking that the fragrance, or like not even a fragrance, but the smell of like the restaurants was a fragrance, because that's just what I remember. And so, you know, so I mean, there was just a lot there, right? I remember one time I was young, I came around the corner. I snuck out of bed, came around the corner, and my parents were at the kitchen table, and they were like juggling bills, like which one they're going to pay, which one they're not going to pay. Like,
Right.
we'll pay this one later on, and so on and so forth. So I think like just through school, I remember and it just stuck with me, where I was like, man, I don't want that, and so. I put a lot of emphasis on just trying to understand how to navigate the business side of life, and understand finances, understand how things work. And by how things work, I mean like how to just navigate life. Okay. I put a lot of emphasis on that. And I think, I stumbled upon triathlon like probably like, I think it was in 2016-15. I went to a race, and after college I was still running and being active, and stumbled upon a triathlon, went to it. I thought it was super cool and just adventurous, and decided to pursue it. And me being curious, I said, man, I love apparel. I love clothes. I love the design of clothes, the function of clothes. And I said, I think the ultimate like task would be to design and make apparel that has to withstand 3 different types of movements in one, like, swim, bike, and run. Like that's like the ultimate like garment.
Right.
And so with more questions, decided to pursue Varlo, and here we are.
Okay. And let's talk a little bit about Varlo. Mm-hmm. So before we get deep into it, explain to people where did the name Varlo come from, and what does it mean?
Yeah, so Varlo is derived from valor, which means to have courage in the face of the unknown, to have a peace of mind, or a focal mind to pursue goals at hand. And so, we just kind of derived the word from, valor. And it's kind of the makeup and the ethos of the brand, which is to empower athletes, empower people to face the goals of tomorrow, whatever those goals are, whatever their journey is. The brand's mission is to ensure we're uplifting and instilling the will of every athlete to pursue what is achievable and what is forward thinking for tomorrow.
Okay. And so let's talk about Varlo. With that, there are different brands of apparel out there. Mm-hmm. And I'm speaking as someone, I'm a duathlete, so I'm big on bib shorts and cycling jerseys.
Yeah.
And I've gotten some that have been good quality, and I've gotten some that have been really crappy quality.
Yeah.
And as a disclaimer, yes, I am an ambassador with Varlo, so I'm not just saying this as an ambassador. But I ordered a pair of bib shorts, as soon as I became an ambassador, and they are probably some of the best fitting bib shorts I have worn in the last 3 to 4 years.
That's awesome. Thank you. Thanks for the feedback on that.
Yes, and I mean they're very snug fit, the cushion even works.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
if you are a cyclist, and especially, a multi-sport athlete, whether it's triathlons or duathlons, that padding and cushion is very, very important.
Yeah, very important. It is very, very important. And it's something that we put a lot of emphasis on. I know in the early, in the early stage, I mean, again, I think this is probably where the biomedical science and chemistry part comes out. I like research. I love pen, paper, stacks of notepads, stacks of printed out articles, stacks of data, and like reading it with a highlighter, dissecting it, right? Like I love that. And so like early on, before Varlo had a name, before we had a website, before anything, it was kind of understanding like the apparel, not just the apparel market, but the apparel build, understanding fabric composition, understanding padding density, understanding, seam lines, different stitches, sewing techniques, and understanding like how what's the best optimal way to incorporate just I guess like the common denominator, like the perfect as perfect as you can get product that can be used for cycling, or if it's going to be for triathlon, it can be hydrophilic, it could be breathable, it can be UV protectant, it could offer just all of these qualities. And so it's good to get that feedback, and I'm really looking forward to all this stuff ahead. I think we have some new products that we're going to roll and introduce probably in the next like 25-30 days, and it's just exciting to hear that kind of feedback, but then also bring out new things.
Okay. And I'm just kind of curious, why apparel? What was it that when you started being in triathlon, you got a bad piece of apparel? You're like, oh, I can do better than this. Is that the reason why?
No, apparel to me has always, since like college, it's always been I don't know. I think like if I probably comb back, it probably was always from like clothing has always been like a thing, right? And again, I can always paint things back to like childhood. And here's a funny story. So growing up, I mean, I had Nigerian parents. Anyone with Nigerian parents knows exactly what I mean when I say I had Nigerian parents. So, I mean, listen, I'm as Nigerian as they come, like as straight up. And so, but growing up, like at an early age, we like I would wear like the same clothing, right? It would be Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and then I would wear a set of clothes Tuesday and Thursday, and then like the next week would be like a different set, but it would still be that like same. So I would wear like the same clothes. I'd go back to school and people were like, "Weren't you just wearing that?" And I'm like, "Oh, like what? I didn't know, right?" And so, but I mean, I learned at an early age that clothes were important, and then obviously my parents, they were always in uniforms, and it was always like, and as a kid, growing up, it's like, oh, what do you want to be? A fireman? Do you want to be like a policeman, a firefighter, whatever. Right. And I'd be like, well, my mom, my mom works to work, right? So apparel and clothing has always kind of been, it's just stuck. It's just stuck in to me, it's been like the ultimate thing. Like you dress as if you want the world to see you, and it means a lot. And so I think in track and field also, because I was a track head. Like I was a 400 guy, 440, quarter mile, whatever you want to call it. That's what I was. And I remember when we transitioned from like, the tank or the singlet and shorts to a speed suit, right? That was like a big deal, because it was like, whoa, we're wearing speed suits, and now they're faster and they're quicker. And I remember going from like the lycra material to like this new different elastane material. and with different types of spandex and being like, whoa, will this mean that I'll be able to move faster? and then, I mean, you pay attention to the big three, the Under Armour, Nike, and Adidas. And, you just I've always been fascinated by Phil Knight's story with Blue Ribbon to Nike.
Oh, okay.
I've visited Nike's headquarters twice, I think.
Oh,
and I've always just been really fascinated with the apparel athletic market. And so people that know me really, really well, they're like, this is not a surprise to them. They're like, oh yeah, we saw this coming like years ago.
So with that, so how would you convince someone, again, just say I didn't know anything about Varlo.
Yeah.
And let's just say I'm at an multi-sport event. Mm-hmm. How would you convince me that, that you have a good product that's worth checking out?
Yeah, absolutely.
The ones that have been around for years that, that you see pretty much the professional and elite athletes wearing.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's understanding the marketplace first. And it's understanding that in triathlon, specifically, let's say triathlon or duathlon or multi-sport, not everyone is a pro. Not everyone is like right. This pro athlete at, that's not everyone. And actually, if you were to break down the profile for triathlon, it actually breaks down into 7 groups. Like you have your dabblers, you have your enthusiasts, you have your diehard, you have your power trainers. It's a whole science behind it. But I think the again, I don't want to get all didactic, but because I can easily get into the weeds with it. But I think it's the truth of it comes down to quality products that make you feel invincible and that propel you to do better. I think that's number one. That is number one through and through. And it's not saying, hey, I can give you a pair of shoes that are going to make you, jump over buildings. It's not that, but it's saying, does the product matter that you are going to wear that will help you perform and also feel comfortable doing it? I think that matters hands down. And so that comes down to quality. It comes down to detail with design and build. And it comes down to like, how does it look? Because if it looks good, you're going to feel good and you're going to perform amazing. So I think those are the things that really, really stand out that the brand tries to do. And I think the other part of the brand is the ethos of the brand is building that community of empowerment for not just the athletes that are the Kona bound athletes. It's not that. I think that's where maybe I think there's room for improvement in the marketplace with that. Let's just say that, because not every athlete is that, Kona, I train 40 hours right. a week. That is not, right. that's probably 3% of the marketplace, actually, when it comes to triathlon multisport. The mass majority are age group athletes. And then you have probably 10% that are new. And those are individuals that are just dabbling in, they're curious. They're probably going to do a sprint, super sprint. And so it's very, very much about how do you build those individuals to be empowered to do this and to stay in it and do it really, really well. The other part is how do you get new participants into the sport and how do you make the sport attractive for those individuals to come in? And I think that's, I don't want to get all into the strategy of the brand and all those things, but I think it's a big focus point of the brand, is not just focusing on like the top of the top and, saying that, oh my gosh, we're great and we beat on our chest, that's great too. But it's trying to build the sport and the community in a way where we welcome more people. We welcome individuals that are new and curious of the sport. And we also empower the individuals that are here that are just, that are training at 5 a.m. with Eric Logan. That's important too.
And I think that sometimes gets lost with not
Yeah.
with a lot of brands that it's immediately it's the pros and the athletes, but like you were saying, the largest group that's participating in many of these events are age groupers or the first timers.
Correct.
The people who work 9 to 5 jobs that have family and
Correct.
kids, have the responsibilities and stuff that they're not training. Okay, I did 20 hours, this week, and most people just can't fit in. Maybe now 5 or 10,
It's
5 or 10 hours a week.
They can't. No, there's no way they can do it. Not only can they not do it, but it it actually harms the sport to portray it that way, because people, the new people coming into multi-sport or triathlon, they are they don't want to train 20 to 40 hours a week. They don't want to do that. Like the society that we live in right now is being told that if you train for an hour a day doing whatever exercise, that's
Right.
good enough, right? And that is the truth in a lot of scenarios. So the sport has to be palatable enough to invite people and to and be marketed in a way where it's not intimidating, and painting the sport in a light of, oh man, you have Kona and there's lava rocks and there's helicopters. It's like I'm not doing that. Like, no, I mean, there's a small percentage that can do that and they will do it, but it's a very, very small percent. It's not everyone.
And I was having a conversation with someone, and and I was explaining to them that everybody doesn't necessarily want to participate in Ironman or go to Kona, but they want to participate in their local triathlon. And
Exactly.
and we
That's
kind of
very true.
sometimes forget that because we put such a high emphasis on Ironman and Kona.
Yeah. And it's, to me, I mean, if I had to, if it was Saj's world, it's not, but I think there's a lot of room to paint the sport in a palatable, accessible way. And when I say accessible, I mean a couple of things. I mean, one, that it's emotionally attractive. It's doable. And I think that's, to be very frank, I think that's with duathlon and short course and relays. That's what I think. I think that is the there's less barrier to entry in those style races than, hey, let's go do a 70.3 or full. The emotional, the time, and then also the risk barrier of entry is pretty darn strong. It's pretty strong. So yeah, anyway, again, I can get really, I don't want to dive too.
I completely understand. So let's kind of step back a little bit to Soj, the athlete and the triathlete. So are you training or prepared for anything right now?
No, I'm to be honest, no. Like I spend a good amount of time doing Varlo stuff, to be honest with you.
Understand.
I get, like, I mean, yeah, right. So like my training, I do workouts. Like I mean, my workouts are swim, bike, run oriented, because that's just what I'm used to. And it's, I mean, I again, I was a 400-meter runner in college. So those workouts were, now like my joints are feeling them a little bit. So anyway, so low compact is good. And then, so I wouldn't say I'm training for anything, but I'm working out. And again, I'm competitive. So I like to keep the FTP where it is. And I want to, I have that, but I don't put the expectation of training, like a training regimen, on my shoulders, because I just don't, it has to be well balanced.
And speaking of balance, how do you, find balance and calm? Because, you have a busy life, you're married, you have a kid, you're starting Varlo. How do you find that balancing call?
Yeah. It's you. It's you bend the days. It's I really truly think that is what it is. You bend the days. You learn that you can live off of 5 hours of sleep. You learn that you can be very, very, very efficient with your time. And you get super duper laser focused into whatever it is that you're doing. So if you're going to commit your time to something, you do it. You put your phone, you get rid of your phone, you close the door, and you knock out what you have to knock out, and then you move on to the next thing, and then that's what's getting attention. But it's just like a weird what will I call it, like a weird regimented obsessive discipline of the mind, I guess. But I think the easiest answer to it is like you really just bend the days. And it's you like I like, so for instance, I give Sundays are like my sleep days. So like I know some people have like they have like what they call like cheat days with food. I have cheat days with sleep, where it's like, okay, like on this day I'm gonna try to get a little bit more sleep. But I think that's probably what it is.
And let's kind of talk about equipment you use. As far as a running shoe, there a particular running shoe that's your go-to shoe?
Ooh. Yeah. So I like the Nike Pegasus. I think those are my jams. I like those. I've always been a Pegasus person since like the first one. Like I've always loved Pegasus. They're more like sleek and like cooler now. They used to be more bulkier, but I really like those. I can't do the carbon. Like
Really?
there's like the 1% or 2%. I can't do them. Like I just I end up getting like I tried it once, and actually I tried them twice. I had like terrible plantar fasciitis, and I had I just couldn't do it.
I'm a Hoka guy, and when the Carbon X first came out, I immediately fell in love with that shoe. And it was like, I was like, oh, is this what I've been missing? But yeah, I immediately fell in love with that shoe.
Oh, I've tried, but I've heard good things about Hoka. I gotta slip some Hokas on.
Yes, come over.
I've heard. I got to. I mean, you know what? Because back in the day, I used to be like a minimalist person. Like, I mean, obviously, if you're a sprinter, a minimalist shoe was great. And then so from sprinting going into endurance, I remember like my first, like, I don't know, like my early 20s, maybe mid 20s, actually probably even late 20s. I was still running like 5 and 10Ks in these like these minimalist shoes, and I was like, man, like, just beat me up, man. Just really did. So, but yeah, those are my shoes.
What type of bike do you have?
Ooh, I have a Cervelo P3 TT bike, and then I have a Trek Emonda road bike, and I don't know, like man,
you had to choose one. You had to choose one of them.
Ooh, well, I mean, they're both different. Like, I mean, you have a TT and a road bike; they're both different. But I think like if I had to pick I couldn't pick a brand. Like, I mean, I got to do like a proper like, I don't know, I don't know, like because the Trek, I was a big Cervelo, like Cervelo all day long, and then when I had like an accident on my bike, and the people at the Trek store who did the repair were just awesome, and they got me back on the bike, and they got not on a bike of my choosing, but it worked out. They got me back on the Trek Emonda and like hyped it up, and I rode it, and I was like, dang, this is like real deal. Like, this is legit. And I was like, this is nice. This is nice. So yeah.
All right. What would you say to someone who was at a point that either because of age or just whatever's going on in their life, if they would, wanted to, you say, let's get started, running, riding a bike, doing a triathlon or swimming, and they said, "No, it's too late." What advice would you give them?
I would so I would say like for any task that someone is looking to do, and when they cast like an immediate doubt, or they say, oh, it's too late, or they give whatever what can be assumed as an excuse. Sometimes it's more along like they're thinking of it as like they're thinking of like the big picture, right? Like, oh, let's go on a run. And they're like, oh my God, I can't go out and run 10 miles. Start small, start very, very small, and build on those small steps. And so whether it's your age or you're just busy or whatever's going on, just start with anything. And if it's like, hey, you know what? Maybe it's not a run. Maybe we just go on a jog. Maybe we just, we go to the track. We just walk on the track. And then, okay, we're walking on a track. Maybe we jog like 100 meters and then we walk, right? And then maybe it's jogging 200 meters and we turn that into a jog of 400 meters, right? I think for anyone, no matter who you are, what's going on in your life, once you start seeing incremental improvements, that's where the hook is. That's where you get kind of like, you start to go, okay, there's gratification here because what you're doing is working. So start small and you will definitely see the incremental improvements. And then it'll become, not only will you be motivated, but by that point, it'll also become a habit. So I'd say start small.
And what is a fact about you that most people don't know?
Ooh, fact about me that most people don't know. I think it would be on song bon Yoruba dada. So I speak a little bit of Yoruba. Eu falo português e hablo pouquinho espanhol. So a little bit of Portuguese and Spanish as well.
All right, as we come to the end, what's next for you? Then you're getting ready for, anything you want to share, hint Varlo stuff. I can try to get something out of it.
Man.
Wait.
Yeah. I think it's I can share a little bit, man. Like I think with Varlo's brand, we've been live, and when I mean live as in conducting sales, engaging customers for 7 months, I think. And so we've done a lot in 7 months. We've done a heck of a lot in 7 months. And so I think like what's next is what any company would probably do, which is just to have small scale, like scalable shifts, right? And so that looks like increased engagement, whether it be live potentially with events. I think it looks like additional products. I think it looks like new ways to deliver value to our customers and the community. And I also think that obviously new products, right?
Yes.
Obviously new products, which I am super duper geeked about. So that's coming at the end of the month. So yeah, man. So just there's a lot that's coming, and it's just it's so much fun.
Well, Soj, thank you for coming on to the show today. All right.
Yeah, you got it, man. I appreciate the opportunity. If
anybody wants to get in contact with you, how should they do that?
They can, to get in contact with me, you can either follow me on IG. It's my IG handle is All Things Movement. So ALL Things Movement. You can always shoot me a DM on there or just send a message or something. And then, definitely you can follow Varlo Apparel. And then you can also, if you have any inquiries on custom apparel needs, just inquiries on the brand, what we're doing, if you want to be a part of the journey, always send an email over to info@varlosports.com. Again, it's info@varlosports.com.
All right. Soj, again, thank you for coming to the show. Best of luck with everything.
Absolutely. Right. Thanks for having me.
All right. Bye.
You too.
And that's it for this episode of No Gimmicks, Just Sweat. I really hope you enjoyed it. Don't forget to subscribe and rate and review us wherever you listen to podcasts. Thank you for your support, and until next time, keep crushing your goals.